The next time you're preparing your next sandwich, take a moment to consider this. Slicing into a single raw onion can alter the velocity of your blood in less than 30 minutes. This isn't some gradual change that happens over time, not over the course of weeks, but within a matter of minutes. A vast number of individuals, people your age, your parents, and even your grandparents, consume onions nearly every single day, completely unaware that this internal process is unfolding inside them. It stands as one of the most frequently eaten foods worldwide, yet simultaneously remains one of the least comprehended. Reflect back on the most recent meal you had that featured onions. Perhaps it was nestled within a burger. Maybe it was served raw, scattered atop a fresh salad, or perhaps you diced one into a simmering sauce, never even tasting it directly in its raw form. You probably didn't give it a second thought. Onions are merely present, acting as background noise on the plate, a simple garnish, something you might nudge to the side if you aren't fond of the texture. No one treats them as if they possess powerful properties, and this is precisely where the misunderstanding lies. Society has conditioned us to believe that the most potent foods must look dramatic, taste exotic, or arrive in a supplement bottle adorned with a label full of grand promises and an equally grand price tag. In the meantime, one of the most biologically active compounds you can introduce to your system is sitting in nearly every kitchen, entirely overlooked, and costing less than a single dollar. Just think about the vast sums of money spent annually on heart health supplements, pills promising improved circulation, powders claiming to support your cardiovascular system. The vast majority of these products contain, in some heavily processed and expensive form, compounds that your body could easily obtain from a vegetable that you likely already have in your pantry. Here is a piece of information that almost nobody is aware of. Inside that unassuming onion resides a compound known as quercetin. This molecule performs a very specific function on the inner lining of your blood vessels, known as the endothelium. Your endothelium is not just a passive tube, it is a dynamic, thin layer of cells that actively governs how wide or constricted your blood vessels are at any given moment. It is constantly making decisions about how blood should flow through your system. When quercetin reaches these cells, it acts as a trigger, prompting them to release a greater amount of nitric oxide. And nitric oxide serves as the crucial signaling molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and expand their diameter. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition demonstrated that dietary quercetin measurably enhanced vascular function by increasing the availability of nitric oxide within the body. This isn't mere speculation. This is documented science, peer-reviewed, and its findings have been replicated by numerous research teams examining the same biological mechanism. This matters far more than most people realize, because your vascular function isn't something you can directly sense on a day-to-day basis. You don't wake up in the morning and think to yourself, "My endothelium seems particularly tight today." It operates silently in the background for years, until one day it doesn't. And by the time most individuals become aware that something is wrong, the underlying issues have usually been accumulating over a very extended period. Picture a garden hose that has been pinched halfway shut. Water still manages to flow out, but it does so at a slower rate, with much greater pressure building up behind the obstruction, putting a significant strain on the hose itself. Now imagine someone releasing that pinch. The water begins to flow more freely and calmly, with significantly less stress on the hose. That is precisely what is occurring within your arteries when quercetin performs its job. Your heart no longer has to pump with as much force to propel blood through a system that is already relaxed and open. Have you ever experienced a feeling of sluggishness after a meal? A sense of mental fog? Like your brain just isn't receiving the nutrients it needs? A portion of that sensation might be directly tied to this exact mechanism. It could be due to blood vessels that are more constricted than they should be, restricting the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the areas that need it most. If this revelation is catching you off guard, just as it did for me when I first came across the research, then take a single second right now, hit the like button on this video, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so yet. It's the simplest way to signal to the algorithm that people genuinely want to understand what's truly happening inside their bodies, rather than just being told to eat healthy without ever being given the reasons why. Now, here is another aspect that often surprises people even more. Onions aren't just a vessel for quercetin. When you cut into one, when the cell walls break open, sulfur containing compounds are released into the air. These are the same molecules that make your eyes water while you're chopping. Your body initially treats them almost like an irritant. However, these compounds also perform a remarkable function once they enter your bloodstream. They reduce the tendency of your platelets to clump together. We are talking about a potential reduction of up to 30% in platelet aggregation. According to a review that specifically examined allium vegetables and their effects on the cardiovascular system, published in a peer-reviewed cardiology journal, the significance of this is immense. Why does this matter? Because platelets are designed to assist you when you are bleeding. That is their primary job, to clump together, form a barrier, and halt the damage. However, excessive clumping when you are not bleeding is precisely what leads to blockages, to the formation of clots, and to the kind of sudden, catastrophic events that land people in emergency rooms with almost no prior warning. Your blood at this very moment might be thicker and slower than it needs to be, not because of any single dramatic action you took, but simply from years of following dietary patterns that never once questioned whether your blood vessels were being supported or strained. And a raw onion, something sitting in your kitchen right now, something you probably have in a drawer or a bowl on the counter, possesses the ability to begin changing that situation. Consider for a moment what your blood is actually responsible for. Every single cell in your body, from your brain cells down to your fingertips, depends on blood reaching it in a timely manner, carrying vital oxygen and nutrients. When that flow is even slightly restricted, everything downstream begins to feel the effects. You might not be able to pinpoint exactly why you feel tired, why your ability to focus fades by the afternoon, or why your hands and feet always seem to be a little cold. But this is one of the underlying reasons. So, what do you actually do with this newfound knowledge? First and foremost, you should consume onions in their raw state, not cooked. Heat effectively breaks down both the quercetin and the beneficial sulfur compounds. If you only ever eat onions that have been sautéed into a dish, cooked down until they're soft and sweet, you are losing the majority of the benefit before it ever has a chance to reach your bloodstream. Make it a point to add raw onion to your salads, to your sandwiches, or as a topping added after the cooking process is complete, not during. Secondly, make a conscious choice to select red or yellow onions over their white counterparts. The deeper the color of the onion's skin, the higher the quercetin content it contains. This isn't simply a matter of culinary tradition or a chef's preference. This is pure chemistry. Darker skin means that more protective plant compounds have been packed inside. When you find yourself standing in the produce aisle, you should evaluate the color with the same critical eye you would use when reading a nutritional label. Third, it's wise to pair your onions with a small amount of healthy fat. Quercetin is a fat-soluble compound, meaning your body can absorb significantly more of it when it's consumed alongside something like olive oil or avocado. A raw onion salad combined with tomatoes, a drizzle of olive oil, and perhaps a squeeze of lemon isn't just a simple recipe, it is a delivery system meticulously built to get more of that crucial compound into your bloodstream, where it can actually do its intended job. And there is a fourth point worth knowing, even if it seems like a minor detail. Allow your chopped onions to sit out for approximately 10 minutes before you eat them or add them to a dish. That brief window of time provides an enzyme inside the onion with the opportunity to fully activate the sulfur compounds we discussed earlier. So, cut it, let it rest, and then consume it. 10 minutes is all the time required for the chemistry to complete its work. You are no longer just someone who eats onions because they happen to taste good. You have become someone who understands what is occurring at a cellular level every single time you do. That small shift in perspective has the power to completely transform how you approach grocery shopping, how you cook, and how you perceive the food that is already sitting in your kitchen. So, consider this carefully. The next time you are standing in the produce section, staring at a pile of onions that all appear identical to the untrained eye, will you simply grab the same one out of sheer habit? Or will you actively choose the one that may actually support what your body needs to thrive? And remember, this is only the beginning of the story. There is another everyday ingredient, probably sitting in your kitchen right now, quietly affecting your body in a way you may never have been told about before. And we are about to reveal exactly what it is doing.